Good morning. So what we talked about yesterday, what needed to happen, happened. And a little recap. So back here, our internals gave us a heads up. This move down had reached a point where it should stabilize, and we got that exhaustion gap. There was that nasty red bar on the gap up day of NVIDIA, which made things kind of uncertain. Was it going to go down here and test this, go down? And we get this go nowhere day before yesterday. And so at that point, what we were looking for was, will interest rates come down and will the dollar come down? Because we wanted to see those three things coming together. And there was that JOLTS report that I gave you the heads up was coming at 10 o'clock. And that ignited the whole thing where the interest rates began dropping and the dollar started dropping, big, nasty red bar. And so now, as long as we don't get a whip back in the other direction, right, where the dollar and interest rates go up, but them down like that, internals haven't reached a bearish extreme. Breadth came up significantly, and it should have yesterday after that wide range bar. In addition to the end of the month, beginning of the month, the holiday, all of those things that we discussed, leads to a positive bias through the holiday. But, well, we've got news coming on Thursday. So this market has been, schizo as far as the news goes. So you would think the jobless claims and whatever news is coming won't be so drastically in the other direction. If it does, I mean, that's, all bets are off as far as the bullish case goes. But you know what to keep an eye on, see if the direction of the dollar, the 10-year interest rates. You can throw them in a thumbnail and we're just setting an alert. If they moved up significantly, something must be wrong. Is there an MT live today? No. No, we're taking off today, but we'll be back next week for MT live next Wednesday. Yeah. So the dollar is down again, and the broader market's really not doing very much, considering, well, I guess they're up a little bit. Nothing of significance. So after the wide range bar, as you know, we typically get a stall in the momentum most times. Let's go to SPY. Just a second. All right. So that very big bar, and you can see here about seven points. This area of major resistance, this pivot high, is in the way, and there's another one. You can see the highs there on the hourly chart. So a move up into that area, 450 whole number, just leads me to believe that even though the markets could have a little bit more upside, it's unlikely they're going to go significantly higher, especially now that the news is out. But any other news, I don't think there's anything else today. 10 o'clock has pending home sales, and there's a gasoline stocks change, crude oil. So I don't know what kind of significance that would have, but there are oil-related numbers coming out at 10:30. So as far as energy stocks go, good thing to keep in mind. And at 10 o'clock is pending home sales. So with this drop, I'm just curious because I haven't looked at it, with this drop in the interest rates, which is minor compared to the way they went up. I don't have much data here, but that should put some support under the home builder. So this, Dan, this might be something, if there's premium there, to consider for as credit spread for the end of the week. Maybe, as an idea, since we've got this little reversal here and interest rates did come down, I could put a little floor under these. All right. So it's very little movement. There's the futures. There's this high point here. The pivot is up there. So it's up against resistance. It's had a pretty significant move over a few days into this area. Odds are it's going to stall. And I said, there's no other news here to really drive it, to drive the markets after what has already come out today. I don't see why the markets would rally significantly from here, especially after a day like yesterday, which most time you get a resting day. Let's just see. Well, on the futures, the 50 MA is there, and we always, our factory work is, let's see if it can now stay in the upper 50% of the wide range bar. SPX. Let's check the numbers. Probably haven't changed very much. The market hasn't moved. So I see this as being a no-brainer. This call strike today. Gap fill. Yesterday was 68 points. It would take another 68 points to get up there. There's these pivot highs in the way. It's reasonable to think, we don't use the word impossible, but highly improbable that it would be able to get up there today. And downside, I don't see that happening either after a day like that. And so you've got the 50 MA, which is roughly in the middle of that bar's range. And as big as this bar was, again, any drops, you wouldn't even think they're going to go down there. They're going to should stay in this, upper third or so, give or take. Now, the way it rallied, as you can see, it created a void. And on a short-term basis, you can look at, whether it's SPX or SPY, this period from lunchtime, really almost a little about 11:30, the markets went nowhere, just grinding. From an intraday point of view, that's a significant line of support. So if it should break down below that with any momentum, it might drive it down to this 444.61. And if you're looking at SPY, there's a correlation there. Let's put this on a 5-minute chart. It's got the overnight data there. And so you can see all of these pivots. So we view an intraday chart the same way we do a daily chart or an hourly chart, as it relates to the structure of the data there. So as it began to slow down, you can see it around 11:40. Buyers stepped up at the pivot, and just grinding. Buyers stepped up at the support again, and so buying. And if it breaks down below here, you can see, give or take, it's at around 447 and change, and breaking below that opens up the door to whatever kind of pullback. Now, on a 5-minute chart, this is a significant level. On a daily time frame, would be no big deal. But as an intraday trader, set an alert here and see what happens, if it gets down there or not. And of course, you can see if the volatility index starts rising or whatever else. Qs, same lines there. As prices moved up, just at around 11:30, things just went into like a coma. At the end of the day, a little buying came in and pushed it up. And you can see the overnight, the 24-hour chart, prices aren't very far from where they closed yesterday. Resistance not too far above. Most likely going to be a little bit more of a boring day than what yesterday was. And so as futures, you can see the same, not going anywhere. Russell, that moved up. It's not up at resistance yet. It's resting, not doing too much here. It's got a void below if it starts to break lower. So keep an eye on regional banks as far as the Russell goes, especially if you're trading the futures. This didn't move very much. So financials, that didn't participate very much. It was all tech yesterday because as interest rates came down. Buyers went back to tech and the FANGs and they performed, and there was very little interest in financials. And some of the bigger banks participated a bit, and KB, XBI, that really didn't do much, but it had a little rally, during the day. It's doing nothing here. So as far as the Russell goes, keeping an eye on regionals and biotech is helpful as a guide. Got this euro. Yeah, that bounced off of the 200. Again, the dollar needed to come in, and this supported that possibility yesterday since it was down here on that 200 MA. Bitcoin had a monster move. There was some news about, I guess, some ETF now, maybe. I don't know if that was confirmed or it's happening. But that ripped it higher and came back basically from the edge of the abyss to roll over. And that was a positive. That came back as well. Crude oil kind of consolidating the gain that happened here. You can see it's up at resistance. Not much to go on there. And well, let's look at the this is like a wild chart over the last few days. And we took a look at this yesterday, and that was the NVIDIA gap up day. It came down and now retracing all the way relatively deep into that. It's just a mess. Certainly that looked like implied it was going to go lower, and this reversing back up again. And overall, it's just in a big sloppy trading range. So take yesterday kind of with a grain of salt. I mean, it's positive that it was able to do this, but let's see what it can do as an encore, whether it can get through the top of that red bar or how much it retraces into this green bar or the lack thereof, today. And then, of course, tomorrow's the big news day. Yesterday, jets was mentioned, or airlines. They had a little pop up there, which helped the transports to come. Look, that it was holding this level, showing some relative strength, but it's in a downtrend. So some positives. We'll see what shakes out for the rest of the week here. Obviously tomorrow with the news that everybody will be waiting for, but some positives. And there's other things out there, like unless this can rally significantly off of this low, some follow through to this green bar. That's something that would suggest maybe another downside move, but we'll see how this plays out. From the bullish case, we got yesterday's positive. We'd like to see the transports get a little further up into this resistance area, and looking at the Dow, breakdown stopped at the declining 20 MA. Resistance is a little further up here, so putting yesterday in perspective of show me what you can do today, because while yesterday was good, yesterday's gone, and let's see what today brings. So all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yesterday, it started out strong, and then 10 o'clock just started a intraday power trend. So you had to be a little aggressive if you were going to participate in it. We gave a number of ideas, but Into it was such a beautiful one. Beautiful 1, 2, 3. So some in the green room traded that, but you see here, you just had to hit the mouse over prior day's high, and you're in. Our Visa alarm went off. We've been long this as a beautiful closing breakout, red bar ignored here. Obviously 99% news here. What is that emoji? There's 99%. I don't know what's going on, but I don't care. I just sent an alert. Let's sell half pre-market and strength. We got over a $5 gain now, so that looks great. Let's take a look at earnings. I see that all the fangs are holding pretty darn well here pre-market. I said yesterday into the close, I predicted flat opening, minor gap down. But still bullish, just didn't know how much, as Greg described in more detail. All these Bitcoin stocks I'm watching for 1, 2, 3s or intraday pullbacks to get long and sell put spreads. HUT looks great. Daily, weekly, monthly could be a home run entry, even though it's a deep retracement. Earnings now. HPE gapping down, 30-minute low. Looks like it's headed to the 200. HPQ under 29. All right, see, so that's an excessive gap on major support. So that one, my bias is 30-minute high, maybe sell a put spread for Friday. PSEC here, cheapo little stock, gapping up a little bit. Could be a bounce in a downtrend, but we can find much better. Box. We actually had long calls on this. I rarely buy options into earnings, but this was one. It was a bullish daily, weekly, gapping down. So we'll just try to salvage that on a bounce. AMBA here, we did a condor, which is going against us. We did just a $2 wide though, so we took in 60 cents on a $2 wide. So the 86s are going to be, pretty at max profit, but the put spread is going against us, and that's ugly. So that's in damage control mode. I'll just see what we can do about unwinding it to minimize the damage. LX 243, it's kind of gapping up to the target there, no interest. PVH 20, it's sloppy. That might even be an ADR with all these overlapping bars. NCNO 20, there you go. That's a 30-minute low short. Keep an eye on that. Oh, and yeah, it's, obviously we're watching the news of this storm hitting the northwest coast, so they're getting tons of rain and stuff. So let's wish all them good luck up there. Bearish gap, penny stock, no interest. YY. This one I like daily, weekly, monthly. It's a Chinese stock, but it's not I explained yesterday, a double bottom. We want more of a momentum move lower. So this is not a momentum move lower, but I like the retest on the monthly, the daily, closing breakout, weekly, kind of a bull flag. It's the China stock, but let's keep that on our radar. Staramos. Hey, one of you on YouTube mentioned, I don't know if it was you, Stravos, or someone else. You mentioned ACI Albertsons yesterday, and I said, yes, sir. That is a beautiful closing breakout. You know, we've been doing these MT lives 5 years now. And every one is a beautiful topic. And so this is the topic on breakouts. People say, oh, you know, so many breakouts fail. Have you know, what's your trick? And the trick is, like on any setup, it's the more clues, the better. So this was beautiful, starting with this downside shakeout, 180 reversal at the 2050, bottoming tail, closing breakout, bullish weekly. Beautiful trade there yesterday, Stados. So today you're asking about Victor, Foxtrot, Sierra. Sell setup triggered yesterday. Well, it's not a sell setup, Stravos. A sell setup. Well, no, you did not, Robert. Um, um, we no. What I was saying was the clue to any setup working the best is having the more clues that support the high probability setup. And I was just describing ACI had many clues of a compelling breakout. So Stravos, a sell setup, the way we define it, is this. Is a downtrend, is a rally and reverse. I mean, that's not a textbook one, but it's a rally and reversal at resistance in a downtrend. That's a sell setup. And this is actually on my short watch list as a breakdown after sell setup, after breakout failure, after top and tail. So back to your VFS, that's what we call a climactic sell setup. Multiple fluid up bars, far from the 20, bearish reversal. So we've been talking about this for the last 2 days of anticipating a bearish reversal. And yes, yesterday was the, you know, to sell call spreads, to day trade short it, whatever. Now it's gapping up a little bit. It actually could be a day trade long, 30-minute high. But after yesterday's nasty bar, that, you know, this was a stack, obviously. That's the biggest ugly red bar in the stock's life. So it's just a mess right now. It would be day trade only. Yeah, Roger, that's yeah, I agree with Alex. That's just cooked too much. I like Zip better. All right, continuing with earnings. Puke, puck, whatever. Gapping up. Let's see, that's gapping up in a downtrend. No interest. Well, Roger, fine. Just tell me when you think it sets up. But it's, you know, also cracking here pre-market. B 66.5. All right, that's a bearish gap. That would be a call spread idea. Pidco 3160. All right, this was one I said in the green room yesterday. If it opened flat, then to short yesterday's low. But you know, now it's down a bit. Raul asking about Papa Alpha above yesterday's high. Yeah, it's a sloppy buy setup. And the reason I say sloppy is because it came down with overlapping bars. So it's going to have a harder time chewing through this, but it isn't an uptrend. It is rising 20 above rising parallel 50. So it's strong. You know, it's just one of these. Is it quality enough? Particularly if the markets, we aren't going to have the oomph of the tide on our back, unless the sector does. Because I know planes, I forget if that's natural gas, oil or whatever, I forget. Go to what's up now, flat. So nothing there. Rex, too extended. HOV, I can't see a gap, but if it opens flat, it's a put spread idea. Mastercraft. This was one I was hoping it would open up a little. And then it would be a double bottom, new low plus, but there's another nasty, nasty gap. I was telling Greg that this season, the pain on some of these gap downs have been, shocking. Things down, what, 470 divided by 25? That's a monster percent down. All right, so that's it on earnings. That was RUN. For a bounce, bouncing the downtrend. We sold a number of put spreads yesterday on some of these beat ups things like PII. We did a put spread. EEFT is on my list. This is the Climo that I've been watching for a month now. And I said the last few days, look, momentum is slowing. Yesterday in Telegram, I said in the morning when my alarm went off, I said, hey, this will be a good stock to trade today over yesterday's high. But the bar is big now. Yesterday's a biggest green bar in this whole decline. So ideally, we get a 1, 2, 3. Let it rest. Why do I love 1, 2, 3s? For the obvious reason, because then I have 26 bullish 15-minute bars. So it's continuation pattern. It's rested. It's building an intraday level of support. Wow, look at Visa giving it up. Do y'all see why I got us at a half? So now you might be kicking yourself saying, well, why didn't we do it all, Dan? And you know the answer to that. There's only one reason on planet Earth that you would only sell half, and it's because you want half to see if you can get a bigger gain. But now that I see how big the gap is, now that I see a print, then there would have been nothing wrong with taking your $5 gain and off to the next trade. But we're at a half. I'm watching it move stop 30-minute low. All right, Amgen here, alarm. This is a buy setup, made the turn coming in. So let me set a new alarm at 260. GPN up alarm. I think this was another 1, 2, 3. Yeah, look at this 1, 2, 3 from yesterday. So this looks very nice. Market's popping here at the open, so the bulls are so far continuing their confidence from yesterday's close. All right, so yeah, GPN. Oh, GNR here. I don't need Intuit. Let's put that there. GPN's a 1, 2, 3 idea. This GNRC bottom right, I said it's a put spread idea. Let's let it. Looks like it's coming into the gap a little bit. Pod. Greg, remember I asked you yesterday about this? I said, do you trust this 2-bar reversal? This is another Climo I've been watching for weeks. Look at that beautiful gap.
Yeah, maybe you get an intraday entry for a little day trade.
Yeah, I mean, you're chasing now. I mean, that's why I asked you, and there's no right answer, but the question was, do you trust this 2-bar reversal?
And there's no answer. How can you know? I mean, if you're talking like a put spread and it's far down away, then you say, well, probability is it won't go down there. That's all you can do.
Right, and I was tempted. Well, actually, I think it was spreading. It was spready, is why I didn't. I did a put spread on IYT, big old base here, and I love this bottoming tail, and weekly is a buy setup. if this closes like this, it'll be a 1, 2, 3 tomorrow. I think we can. I mean, the chart says directional, but then I'm going to start getting into the problem of, well, if the broader markets are running into a brick wall, is this going to go on its own? All right, GNRC bottom right coming in hard. All right, GPN coming in, so I'll set a new alarm.